Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we will go from Earth 616 to the Mojoverse to the TVA in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
I'm your friendly neighborhood Brent.
Alliance
Assemble.
Assemble, Volume 176. It's the first day of school for me. If you're watching this live, it's the second day of school if you're listening to this for me live, and I'm really tired. But you know what? I will always jump on for you to help bring this show to you. You for the people.
For the people, that's
For the
right.
people.
Yeah, I'm sure that is exhausting. I still got, I don't know, where's my calendar? I still got like a week and a half before our school starts, but that's okay. We have a lot of work to do before that, so
Yeah.
it's all good. But so far so good. So can't
How's your
complain.
week been?
Good. Kind of a weird one for me. My wife and daughter are out of town at an aerial competition, so it's just me and the boy for the next couple of days before he goes camping with my in-laws. So I'm actually going to have a day or so to myself, which that doesn't happen very often, but I'll go with it.
All right.
I took today off work to stay home with him, and I'm like, "Hey, buddy, Across the Spider-Verse came out. You want to watch it? You want me to buy it so we can watch it?" He said, "Yes, but I want to watch Spider-Verse 1 first." Because you said you have to watch 1 before 2. And I'm just like, yes, when you have never seen them before. You've seen 1 dozens of times. But you know what? Double feature it is. So that's what we did today.
You know what? Twist my arm. Twist my arm.
It was we watched the first one, took a bathroom break, watched the second one. It was great. It was great.
Exactly. That sounds like a good one. Yeah, it's I mean, the benefit is starting on a Thursday seems kind of odd, but it's a 2 days and get head into the weekend. So hopefully get a little bit of a time to recover. I'm pretty much on daddy duty on Saturday. Aaron's going out to celebrate a friend's birthday, so which is fine. I got taekwondo with my son, and Adeline never really gets the chance to watch him, so she's very excited about that and just hanging out with them on Saturday all day. So it'll be fun.
Sounds like a good day.
It does. So, but yeah, so light news week all in all. Trailer Palooza continues. This is Trailer Palooza Part 3. This time it's for real and for keeps. Here we go. All in the Game talked about his weekend, but got to give shout out to Aquaman for his good work over the weekend.
I don't know what that reference
I'm not sure what the reference is. All in Game. We need context. Sorry about that one. You stumped us both.
I do need context.
Yes, we need context. But all right, well, as All in the Game gives us a little bit of context on that one, let us get the network plugs out of the way. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network with 8 shows covering the wide range of geek and nerdom. To check out the full schedule, see the show notes below, and subscribe to the Geek Ultimate Alliance network on Twitter at GWayPod Network so you know when all the shows drop. We also have a Patreon, so if we want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got 2 tiers. Our $1 tier to say, hey, you think we're doing a good job, and then our $5 tier with ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon exclusive shows, including our show, We Can Watch This All Day, the Marvel Alliance MCU Rewatch, I'll have to see that in just a second, as you've probably...
No, I know what they're talking about. David texted me. All in the Game replied. I know what they're talking about now.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
But yeah, we have our Infinity Saga rewatch with 19 episodes up there. Doctor Strange dropped a couple of weeks ago, so we're a few weeks away before Brent and I record episode 20, Thor Ragnarok. You can check out the DC Alliance guys doing their DC through the years. Looking at everything the DC has put out there. We've got Joe's Multiverse Minute and a ton of back catalog content. So patrons, we want to thank you. We can't do this without your support. But if you haven't joined us on Patreon, go to www.patreon.com/GWay Network to join our Patreon. And if you can't join us on Patreon, take 30 to 90 seconds and rate and review the Marvel Alliance solo feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever podcatcher choice may be. We greatly appreciate it. And last, but certainly not least, we want to thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for all your omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. JP and the crew at OPB have got it going on with excellent customer service, immaculate packaging, ships around the world. You got about 6 more days to lock in these pre-orders for Spider-Man The Clone Saga Omnibus Volume 2, Moon Knight The Mark Spector Omnibus Volume 2, The Death of Spider-Man Omnibus, Thunderbolts, all these lovely on top of everything else under the sun. Use that code MarvelGUA at checkout to get $2 off every single order. Use it a limited amount of times. Let them know you're a listener, and we want to thank them for being our official sponsor. All right.
Okay, so Aquaman is, and this will probably come back to you because I don't know how you wouldn't have seen it. I didn't realize that's what they were calling him, but in Alabama, a black man was jumped by a bunch of white boaters because he told them they couldn't dock their boat where they had it because a tourism boat or something needed to go there and had the right of way.
I remember.
So all these people jump him, and this guy, one of his coworkers, I believe, jumped in the water and swam to help him. And swam to help even the odds, as did a number of other people. There are some amazing TikToks involving Jares that I have seen the last couple of days. Yes, I've heard him called Aquaman. I haven't seen the Aquaman, but yes, I think that's great. And absolutely that video is definitely, as All in the Game said, the most viral video of the year. It might be. It's definitely been going around. So
I heard the story a couple of times in the last 48 hours. I have not gotten a chance to kind of see it, but it was just hearing the description was wild. Definitely what more has been dominating my recently is the wildfires in Maui. At that point, my wife and I, it literally broke our hearts because the town that was basically wiped off the face of the earth due to the wildfires was one of our favorite spots that we went to when we first went to Hawaii for our honeymoon. And so seeing the images, just like everything we loved about the town is just gone and the lives lost. It's just our hearts, our thoughts and prayers go out to the entire Hawaiian community in the island of Maui during this awful,
we have some
tragic.
We have some close friends who live on the Big Island, and they have family whom we have met before who live on Maui. And so, as far as I know, so far they're doing okay. Good. And a Facebook friend of mine, a former teacher in my school district, she's actually in Maui right now. But I saw she posted that her family is doing okay. But yes, it's been a weird week. You know, you hate to see those tragedies, and you hate the fact that guy got jumped by all those white assholes. But you gotta enjoy the way that people rallied around to help them, and so hopefully the fires in Maui end up all working out.
Yeah,
you know, to the best that they possibly can after at least 36 people have lost their lives, last I heard.
Yeah, exactly. So, but no easy transition to this, unfortunately, at that point. But wanted to give a quick plug. About a month ago, I had plugged my friend Jess's channel, OmniDog's Vault, that I was going to be on it on Saturday night. That Saturday night, Jess had to unfortunately cut our conversation short that evening, and so I'll be making a return to OmniDog's Vault this Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to check that out, just go to the YouTube channel and search for OmniDog's Vault. 1 p.m. We'll be going live. I'll be showcasing. We didn't get to it the first time, but I'll be showcasing the photos and the time that I spent at the Marvel Superheroes exhibit here in Charlotte. So, and talking about various other comic books and whatever the chat seems to go off on. It gets quite interesting at times. So, check that out this Sunday. All right, well, if you are watching live, and as we talked about earlier, as we said, Trailer Palooza continues, and we got another trailer dropping, this time for I Am Groot Season 2.
This is the last trailer, right? Like, there's nothing else coming out that we're going to get a trailer.
Echo.
Echo's not on the release calendar for 2023 anymore, so that's probably gone. But Echo's
Loki,
the only other
Loki wasn't even on it. Loki wasn't on it.
Oh, Loki wasn't on it? I missed that. Okay, Never mind then. It's probably there. Echo, we can still get. We're gonna get Echo next week.
Why not? Part 4.
All right, that's all right.
All right. Yeah, I don't remember if we had gotten official confirmation that a second season was coming. Do you, Brent? Did we talk about that at all? No, we did. No, I take it back. We did talk about it because of when the whole Jeffrey Wright coming back as the Watcher. Then we got, and that all came out. So it's been fairly recently, but I was more surprised that we got this trailer as soon after that as it were. But
prior to that recent news, I didn't realize that it was getting a season 2. And honestly, with Bob Iger back, I'm almost surprised. I bet you this is it, because the return on investment for this project has to be next to zero, right? Like, nobody is keeping or signing up for this project. Like this, like Ahsoka coming out, in what, a
Mm-hmm.
week and a half or 2 weeks, whatever that is. People will sign up for that project, and people will stay specifically for that project. That is not true for I Am Groot. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's what begs the question, like when it comes to animation, when it comes to the MCU at that point, we've got what if season 2, whenever that decides to drop, will there be a season 3? Same thing with X-Men 97. We haven't even gotten season 1. We know season 2 is a green light. I'd be very hard pressed unless it is such a huge, huge following that we get a season 3 out of any of these. So
Even X-Men 97, I know people are like, "Oh, that's one of the most popular ever." It is
it's
with
nostalgia.
a certain age group,
Mm-hmm.
namely ours. But any of us who would subscribe specifically for X-Men 97 are more than likely already subscribed.
Yeah.
So
but
I just don't see those being service sellers.
yeah. So, but yeah, let's kind of look at this trailer and see the cuteness and the delightfulness of now at this point, not baby Groot, but preteen Groot. All right, he's playing with an action figure. Could you make out who this action figure was? It's been racking my brain trying to
My
figure out
first
who it is.
watch, I thought it was Drax, but then I zoomed in and I no longer think that's the case. So I don't know, generic Xandarian Nova person,
Yeah.
like not a Nova like in the sense of Richard Rider, but like what the Nova Corps looked like in the first Guardians movie is the best that I got.
Yeah, but I do like that he's playing with the action figures in a can and he's making them kiss. That's
Sure.
hey,
Totally standard.
use your imagination. I have no problem with that.
We don't kink shame.
Goodness gracious. And Groot hears a sound, this music, and his eyes light up, and it is a huge, gigantic space ice cream
truck. Yeah.
That is like Vegas for kids. Like that.
Oh yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, don't take food from strangers, but definitely go up to the white vans and get some ice cream. Absolutely.
I mean, yeah. I mean, my stuff of ice cream, man. We do have one that occasionally comes through the neighborhood at that point during the summer. I don't remember hearing it too often this year, but when I hear ice cream man, I don't think the ice cream truck. I more think of the Image comic horror series, ice cream man. So my evolution of the ice cream truck, ice cream man is like it's taken a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love this little thing where he's breathing heavily and he makes a little heart on it. That's cute. Gosh, that's a huge thing. And he's got no money in his pockets. Now, I could only imagine that episode is him realizing he has no money and he's trying to search for it. And the ship and the ice cream truck leaves. And this is him trying to chase it down.
And the watcher, like that, the watcher's presence alone. Like he's supposed to only watch events of cosmic importance, but every now and then he pops up for the more mundane, and it does amuse me that Groot has attracted his attention.
Well, it's also interesting because they did say Jeffrey Wright is returning to voice him, so I'll be very curious to see what he is what is he going to say in this episode. Also, he's at the controls of the Benatar. Or the Milano. I can't remember I think this is the Milano then still.
Oh gosh, I get them confused.
Well, it's one of them, Benatar and Milano at that point. My question is, where are the rest of the Guardians?
You know what? We don't ask those kind of questions. They're on nowhere. No, that's probably not true because this wouldn't fit nowhere in the timeline.
So he's making some hot chocolate. I love this. Just him turning the simple snowman into a destruction machine because I'm a fan and still playing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and the amount of different things I can create at that and seeing what others have created. Yeah, this kind of reminds me of that.
Okay. I have not played that game, but I was amused by seeing this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Killer snowman, and he seems quite entertained by it. I have no idea what this is.
It looks like Bowser from Mario Brothers. That's all I got.
That's true. They're channeling it at that point, and obviously, I love it when he says, "I am Groot" in the more sense of I'm in trouble. 5 brand new shorts. It looks like we're back onto a very similar planet we were on that the bird was making fun of him. He's running away, and he's got a real nose that he looks like he's glued on.
And an eyeball next to him in the background
Yep.
there. Yeah, I Am Groot. It's just a fun little silly show. I definitely saw some people saying like, why are they wasting our time on this? And I'm like, I don't understand the business reasons for it, but you're not
I
really
don't. Yeah.
wasting their time. It's like you don't have to watch it, right? It's it it's not going to affect anything. So it just either watch it or don't. You're fine. And if you
It's called freedom of
if
choice.
you're a creationist who wants to finish, I get it. I get it. It's going to take you like 20 minutes tops. Like, it's fine.
It'll take you less than that because you have to be watching the credits at that point.
You're right. And the credits are about half the runtime on these things. So
Heck, and Groot helps you out. You don't even have to watch the intro. He literally fast forwards them.
he did fast forward through them.
And I will say this, like my kids, when they first came out, that is all they wanted to watch. After they first saw them, it was, I want to watch Groot. I want to watch Groot.
Oh, yeah.
And I could always hear the fast forward moment. And my wife says, that's just that's one of her favorite parts of it. Yeah, I've definitely watched it, and we will break it down like we did for the first
Oh,
season
yeah.
at that point.
I'll get up and watch it before work that day. Maybe not as early as I normally do, but I'll watch it before work.
It won't be a 4 a.m. wake up call for you there, bro.
No, it'll be a little bit later.
A little bit later. No, I mean I'm happy with it. I didn't see this one coming, and you know what? I'm definitely going to be entertained by it. There definitely were one or two of the seasons. I think the one that's my favorite is where he's on the planet and he's kind of got this kind of Gulliver's Travels thing going, where the little creatures, he's bigger than them, and they kind of rebel on him, and he thinks he kills them all at that point.
Yeah, but they show us at the end he did not indeed commit genocide. So
yeah, I think my kid's favorite was him dancing against the water creature. I think that was my kid's favorite. So, but yeah, so September 6th, what is that, a Wednesday?
sure, yes, that is Wednesday.
Okay, so I think Ahsoka will still be dropping then, so we have two things to watch.
Oh, well, maybe I will be up early then, because I do intend to get up early for Ahsoka.
Yes, as do I. But yeah, we'll check it out, and then we will break it down on the show, all five shorts at that point, because it'll take about the same time for us to break it down as it does one episode of an MCU show.
Something like that.
Yep. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens with that, and maybe we'll get another trailer. But yeah, that was a nice surprise. So, well, Trailer Palooza Part 3 in the books in that part. So let's take a quick ad break before we get into the bigger news item of the week. So, as you know, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they could be a bit loud. Give it a 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. So, all right. We've got the WGA strike going on and the SGA strike going on. Well, not necessarily a strike going on, but news came out towards the end, I believe, of last week, coming out that Marvel Studios VFX workers have filed to join the IATSE union. This was coming out from many different news sources, but I'm pulling this from two. The first one is The Hollywood Reporter. Then the visual effects crews at Marvel Studios filed Monday not last week, but for Monday, for a unionization election with the National Labor Relations Board, according to the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. The labor organization said that Marvel's more than 50 worker crew had signed an authorization cards indicating they wish to be represented by the union. The VFX industry has been mostly non-union since Star Wars ushered in the modern era of visual effects in the 1970s, and the IATSE at least is seeing this as a major shift in the landscape. They live a quote, like, for almost half a century, the workers in the visual effects industry have been denied the same protections and benefits of their coworkers and crewmates have relied on since the beginning of the Hollywood film industry, said Mark Patch, the VFX organizer for the IATSE. This is a historic step for VFX workers coming together to form a collective voice. So in attempting to join the organization, the Marvel VFX workers are looking to be protected by the same terms under the IATSE's basic agreement, which includes, so again, remember, they have none of this to begin with. This will guarantee them a minimum wage increase, the MPI pension and healthcare plan, turnaround improvements, meal penalty improvements, and more. Basically, as patch notes, it's making sure that the VFX is no longer the Wild West, but ultimately, this is also about respect for the work that we do, how essential we are for the filmmaking pipeline. And I think you and I, Brent, will agree it's not just essential, they're pivotal.
It unionize, do it. Just do it. Just whatever they have to do to make that happen, to dot those I's and cross those T's. Yes, absolutely do it. And then yes, go on strike if necessary. 100%. Yes. Pivotal, just it almost feels like an understatement for the amount of special effect work that goes into Marvel projects in general. And really, like, people, I think, grossly underestimate how many special effects are in your everyday project as well. Ted Lasso, like, there's tons of special effects in that movie, especially anytime they're actually on playing soccer at the time, because most of the stands are full of special effects people, right? Those are all special effects shots, and all kinds of shows that you wouldn't think have them in it are full of them. So then you look at a Marvel project and it's entirely special effects. Let's be real, like, they're all there. And I'm not saying that to criticize the Marvel effects, but it just, yes, like, these people have been getting screwed over for years. I know there was one quote saying that they were told they basically can't stop until they've turned in WandaVision episode 10 or whatever. They don't get a day off for the next few months until WandaVision episode 10. I really wonder if that was a misquote or something and they meant episode 9, only because, yeah, there were rumors about episode 10, but they're, as far as we know, officially it was always 9. But either way, episode 9, episode 10, not allowing them to have a day off in 2 to 3 months when they've already been working, 18, 20-hour days. It's just not, no, it's not okay. It's not okay. Yes, I hope they are able to get all their ducks in a row and unionize on that.
Yeah, and then today, IGN had put out what basically amounts to kind of an expose digging into this and talking a little bit more and getting some more kind of anecdotal stories of what's coming out. This is coming also from Mark Patch. And he also is not just a organizer for the IATSE, but he's also a former coordinator on WandaVision. And he said these companies, which are making billions of dollars off our work, so the reasonableness of our demands, asking just to be put on the same deal as people working alongside us and be given access to healthcare and pension fund and a basic protections of work, we feel that is one of the most reasonable demands anyone could ever make. He goes on and says, there's an effort to get by with us as few people as possible and wait for us to basically raise hell and say, we're not sleeping anymore. We haven't seen our families. We're working every weekend. Then that's when they say, oh, okay, we'll get some more bodies sometimes. When you're turning a 90-minute movie to a 10-hour basic feature, basically you're doing 10 times the amount of work within the same or even sometimes shorter period of time. Particularly from Marvel, we were certainly have seen since COVID, the streaming amount of demands have greatly exploded. Gabrielle Levesque went on, and she could speak to the situation in quite a bit of experience since she worked with Marvel before and after the launch of Disney Plus, and her credits include Infinity War, Endgame, Spider-Man: Far From Home, and the upcoming Captain America: Brave New World. She said, what you're expected to do each day and how the shows are run, it definitely feels more like a conveyor belt nowadays than necessarily each project being given its own thought and time. As opposed to, as of now, where, well, this is coming up now, and now we have to do this, and then this is coming up, now we have to do this. It really becomes like a McDonald's of content. For us, I was on WandaVision, and they told us, well, you're not going to have you're not going to be allowed any more days off in the next 3 months until we deliver episode 10, which is what you were talking about. We were already working 18-hour days, and I was like, how is that supposed to be sustainable? And it's not. There's a huge worker crisis across the globe. They're out of people. Like, the amount of people that Marvel has like on staff right now, like there's not many more, if any, to go down. And so when they say they're going to find more people, they're just not out there. Either they're out of the industry or just refuse to now work with Marvel. It kind of ends by saying, I think a lot of these issues, and it is a lot of the times those decisions are being made on the executive side and they're not the creative people. They don't understand the process. They're money people, and they have no idea how long this stuff takes. We're in this position now because we feel like it's our lives that are ultimately unsustainable because we lack the portable healthcare plan that can travel from job to job. When we work on a show for 3 months and then go for work at a new studio, that's a whole new healthcare plan, a new doctor, a new everything. We don't get retirement fund. We don't get any sort of pension or 401k. We don't have any fallback plan for what would be our eventual retirement. I mean, to me, they're right. It just comes down to dollars and cents, and the executives don't want to add one more thing to take away from their profits. I mean, that's what it comes down to. They can say all day and long, well, this is going to be pushed to the consumers and the prices are going to have to go up. I get that. There has to be a balance. I mean, if they're not even getting this stuff, they can't even make a living wage. To say the fact, well, you signed up for this, that's not necessary. That never pays. But they still use it.
We know that things drastically sped up with the start of Phase 4. 18 projects in 2 years or whatever it was. I think it was 9 each year, counting I Am Groot, but that's entirely special effects. A lot of that you can track all the way to Feige, who obviously isn't stopping it, and he should, up to Bob Chapek at the time, who was basically pressuring Disney and Lucasfilms and whatever else to constantly pump out the content, constantly get out the stuff. And they still need to slow down. And I know they've said they have, and we've talked about it, but they desperately need to actually slow down, which I still don't believe we're seeing signs of the way I thought we were going to, because...
And the budgets.
Well, we'll mention that in a second. They need to slow down, though, because these people you can't sustain this. You can't live this way for very long. They're going to burn out their best people, and then they're going to get, no offense, but people who are not as talented or skilled to come in behind them, and then they're going to burn out, and the process is going to repeat to a point where the CGI is just going to degrade, and you're effectively going to have what looks like from Flash season 1 to Flash season 7 or 8 in CG quality, right? Like, that's just the first show that came to mind, not to pick on that one specifically. And some people would argue some of that's already there. Some people would argue that the CG in Ant-Man 1 was vastly superior to the CG in Ant-Man Quantumania. But whether or not that's true, it is still going to trend that way if you are constantly doing this to people. And yes, the budgets, what was the reported budget for Secret Invasion? $212 million. Absolutely ridiculous. There is no reason it should have cost that much. Frankly, nothing on Disney Plus should cost that much money, because they're just not going to get the return on it.
Yeah.
You start getting movie budgets, you need movie box office to help pay for that.
Yeah, we'll keep on saying it over and over again. Pay them. Give them the benefits they need to actually live. know?
I absolutely hope that they do unionize. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on this at that point, and watch it as we continue on with the strikes with both WGA and SGA with no end in sight at that point. It's in order for them to be treated like human beings, I'm willing to sacrifice necessarily having content delayed at that point. I'll live in order for them to get any part of their demands finally being listened to. So, but all right, again, light news week, so we're gonna pivot into our feedback section. And so, Brent, you put out the Spidey signal, and everyone came calling.
Yeah, even you came calling.
I did. Yes.
It really threw me off. Let's go ahead and start with Travis Hines. What percentage would you give of Spider-Man showing up on Invincible before the series ends?
I'll let you take that one first.
13.5. 13.5. I do think it's possible. Mm-hmm. I do think it's possible. But if I will say this, if it's not in series 2, then I will drop it down to about 0.5%, because the story arc where that crossover occurred in the comics is where they're heading for season 2, it looks like. So unless that story is stretched out over a couple seasons, I feel like it's this season or it's not happening at all.
Yeah, we've talked about how they've dropped these little hints, and basically having in the background of like someone looking on their phone and seeing what looks to be the image of Marvel team up with Invincible and Spider-Man at that point. I agree with you. I can't say there's a non-zero chance of it happening. There definitely is a chance of it happening at that point. I'm a little lower just because, like, again, the voice actor has done many other things beyond, Spider-Man. He's
Hmm.
done many different things at that point. But yes, the thing people many much go for, and I would love it for him to be there. Josh Keaton is, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
So I would love to see it. I would say I'm going to go a little bit higher and go 20%.
Okay. Okay.
Um, Obviously, still, a low percentage, but I give 10% for my heart and 10% for my logic side. So I'll just add those together and get 20%.
Okay. All right.
So,
I'll take it.
yep.
All right. From Rich. Besides Wolverine and Miss Marvel, and besides someone that was already confirmed and hinted at, who do you think is the next mutant we will see in the MCU? So who is an upcoming mutant that we haven't gotten hints at or seen that we think we're going to?
Yeah, this one's kind of stumped me because it's going to have to be, it doesn't have to be, but it's definitely a newer character that more than likely we haven't seen.
I mean, it's got to be an X-Men character, right? There's not that many prominent mutant characters outside of the X-Men.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about multiverse kind of stuff. I'm thinking when you say MC, we're talking about that particular universe.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm not counting any of the Fox versions.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I don't know. Draw a name out of a hat. Hank McCoy on the TV in the background.
Yeah.
A la how we first saw him in X-Men 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think that no, one of the earlier X-Men movies. One or two had him, a different actor, but had him on the TV in the background. I'm gonna say they're gonna do something like that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Brave New World where we're gonna get the biggest step forward
Mm-hmm.
in our March Mutants because I have a brewing factor fiction. It's not this week. I'll put it for the. I've got to write it down. But
Okay. Okay.
something that's come to my mind last few days. I want to put out there, but I think that there's probably going to be our biggest hint with a certain mutant. I don't think we're going to see this mutant, but I think a certain thing that led to this mutant's popularity will be established in Brave New World. So
So
I don't know. Right now I
who,
really
who's a
can't think
who's
of
a
one.
random mutant that you'd like to see?
Like to see.
Like I think a lot of people would say Gambit is at the top of that list. We only got him once in the Fox verse. Gambit would be a fun one.
He's not even on the top of my list. I like to see Gambit, but he's not at the top of my list, and I'm not even like Wolverine's the obvious choice, but I'm not trying to be that low hanging fruit.
Wolverine is absolutely the obvious choice. Like I feel like probably not Cyclops. Like it makes sense, but we had two different Cyclopses throughout the Fox years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm struggling with this question. I think it's a great question. It's super interesting to think about. You know what?
How about this? Jean Grey.
Okay, Jean Grey. I'm gonna say the character of Justice, who was I want to say he went by Marvel Boy for a while. He was on the New
Okay.
Warriors. He was with the Avengers. He is a mutant, but he really isn't that affiliated with the X Men, at least to my knowledge. Maybe I'm forgetting something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say probably a telepath of some sort would be at the beginning. So I'm going to go with Jean Grey
Okay, I
because
like it.
I think Jean Grey is one of those characters that will be on the first team.
Yeah, I'm googling Justice right now, and I'm not really seeing that much reference to the X Men stuff, other than he was connected to Firestar romantically for a while.
Yeah.
But okay, Amari Daniels, with all the Fantastic Four casting rumors, are there any particular stories or comic runs you would like to be used as influences in the movie? I'd like to see a Counselor Reed film made up of everyone rumored to have or who has already played Reed. So anyone connected to Reed, Counselor Reeds. That would be a lot of fun if you could pull that off. It would be a lot of fun.
It would be a lot of fun. That's a lot of evil reads because when it comes down to it, most of those reads are not good people.
Sure.
Um, yeah, this was tough because I've made no illusions of it. I've not a huge follower. I am reading the current run of Fantastic Four. I've dabbled in some runs here or there, but one of which, and it's not going to be until much later until they establish it. I would love to see the Unthinkable storyline with, by Mark Waid brought into it. You talk about there Amari with the Council of Reeds. That's that's definitely a Jonathan Hickman kind of thing. So yeah, Hickman, you just got to say Hickman, and I'm down to at least do it. I have read that entire run because of Hickman and had how much praise about it. I like the first couple of arcs like that. What makes up that first omnibus is probably my favorite part of that. I wasn't a huge fan of the Freedom Foundation. That was not the greatest. I just didn't jive with it as much. And when they got back to Fantastic Four proper, that's when I came back to it.
I'll agree, but I really like their costumes.
See, that the costumes did nothing for me.
Oh, I like them, but I think that's because I like the Spider-Man one so much.
Yeah. So but those would be some of my ideas.
Yeah, Mark Waid, Jonathan Hickman are the two writers that first came to mind with this. I'll throw in the Bendis Miller team up on the Ultimate Fantastic Four, but specifically the first arc, not the stuff that came after that. Well, I say that, but that particular Reed, the Maker, who went super evil, he's an interesting character, but for that to be cool, we got to get established with the proper Reed first. So I'll stick with just the first arc. I'll throw in Spider-Man, as in I really enjoy the Spider-Man's relationship with not just Human Torch, but the Fantastic Four as a whole. Keep in mind, in Spider-Man's second appearance ever, he tried to join the Fantastic Four. I would love to see some interactions there, whether or not that's pulling from a specific comic book or just saying, okay, have them interact, go. That either way is fine with me.
Yeah, and I would love to see, and I've brought this up, I can't remember how many episodes ago, but I know I did this probably as a long ago Fact or Fiction, Annihilus and Annihilation Wave being brought in through the Fantastic Four.
Always, yes, yeah. So. I'm completely on board with that.
I do see World's Biggest Geeks actually posing a question.
Yeah, hello guys. When Deadpool 3 comes out and everyone who's coming back in the third movie, do you think they should honor the comics by putting on their traditional costumes? Do I think they should? No, I don't think they should. But I don't think there's some kind of moral imperative that they need to do it. But do I think it'd be awesome? Yeah, I do think it'd be awesome if they did. And I would love to see it. Other than at this point, yes, we're getting Hugh Jackman in it. If they're going to give us the comic costumes for the MCU X-Men characters, other than Wolverine, part of me says save the costumes. Let that be part of the hook of what's different about Marvel Studios X-Men versus Fox's X-Men.
Yeah, I you're right. Would it be for my inner geek and being the Leo GIF over and over again in that movie at that point and making my little heart sing? Yes, I would be. But there's something to be said, like, do you want to have all this just for glorified cameos to say that, okay, well, we already had to, we can't do the same thing twice? You could, but they're going to have to put another extra flair to it. So I think they'll have some balance in the sense of we'll get those kind of winks and nods with the traditional costumes, and then we're going to get some of their, this is what their costume is, and trying to save, quote unquote, the good stuff for when they actually come into the MCU proper.
All right, from Jim Scruggs. If Disney told us tomorrow that the MCU will end in the next 10 to 12 years with no chance of being rebooted, would you be relieved?
I will first say, from Ant-Man Quantumania, you're lying.
Yeah, you're lying. Of course they're going to reboot
lying.
it. But, I mean, they're going to reboot it because...
Do you not like money?
At this point, Iron Man is a household name. He didn't used to be. He is now. They're going to use that character. Absolutely, they are. But how would we feel if the MCU, as we know it today, ended in 10 to 12 years?
We'll just say, we'll just call it at that point, Secret Wars is the end.
Sure. I mean, with the delays and stuff, it might end up being 10 to 12 years.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, let's just call it the end at that point. Considering we wouldn't have gotten the quote-unquote proper X-Men into the MCU, really, yeah, I'd be disappointed at least with that. That'd be one of my, probably the biggest disappointment would be that.
I don't want the MCU as we know it to end before both the Fantastic Four and the X-Men have been seen and had multiple appearances, not just one, but multiple appearances. That said, other than that, the word thankful comes to mind, because
the Alien costume saga we wouldn't see.
Sure, but even that, I'd love to see Venom in it, but we know what Venom we're going to get if it is. but 10 to 12, let's just take the number 10 to 12 more years, and they've already been going for what, 15? So you're talking in the ballpark of north of 25 years of a shared universe. Like, that's incredible. And the amount of content that's there, that's fantastic. But they can't leave Iron Man off the table for that long. And Robert Downey Jr., he's not going to beat Iron Man 50 times. That's just not realistic.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say relieved. I'm going to say thankful for what they've done and understanding.
Yep. It'd be one thing, it's one of those things where people can rag on the DCCW, but hate it, not saying make fun of it at that point. I am so thankful of what we did get, and that we got certain things and characters and series that I wouldn't even dream that we got. So it's just like you said, thankful for what we had. I would be disappointed by certain things that didn't happen, but what we have gotten, more good than the recent questionable. It would be like, you know what, we got what we got, and it was a heck of a run.
Marvel missing the X-Men in this era of Marvel Studios of the MCU would be akin to the DCCW never getting to properly do Batman. To give us a proper Batman like that. I feel like that's the one true blind spot in the DCCW. Sure, there are others, but the big one is the lack of Batman for that entire time. All in the game, also in the chat, what would the ramifications be if Deadpool 3 is a big critical flop a la Quantum Mania?
That one.
It's flop proof. I genuinely think it is flop proof.
I also think that I know what you're doing in comparison. It's the recent quote unquote flop at that
they're
point.
Going to.
You're two different franchises to begin with.
PR would basically just spin I guess people just aren't that interested in any of the Fox characters. But you have arguably the two most popular Fox characters. Arguably, absolutely, with Hugh Jackman. I think you could debate Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool in there in this movie for the first real time. Yes, there's Wolverine Origins, but for the first real time with this incarnation of Deadpool, it's not going to flop. And it's being put out by the Disney machine. It's not going to flop.
If it does, honoring what he's trying to do with the question at that point, there is some
fascinating
and obituary report would have to be in the sense of what happened and why, and the fact that Ryan Reynolds was able to get Hugh Jackman back. He's not just going to come back because he's friends with Ryan Reynolds. He doesn't need to do it. He doesn't have to do it. He got him back because something was that intriguing for him to not just put back on the costume, but put back on the muscle weight and to go through the training that he has been very vocal about, that he was very relieved to be done with at that point, considering how old he is right now. It's amazing that he's willing to put his body back in the shape and still have fun with it and enjoy it. And there's something to be, if we believe even half of these rumors of cast coming back, it's not just a glorified cameo. This is our farewell letter to what was us, for a lot of us, the beginnings of superheroes in movies, our first superhero movies that we got to see instead of just being exposed to and watching on video and on TV because we weren't alive when they came out.
You know what? Flop proof? I'm actually going to retract that. I think I'm wrong on that, because I think you could have made an argument for the Flash being.
Yeah.
The Flash is a character who had a 9-season TV show, so there's audience fans there. It had 2 different Batman in it. It had Supergirl in it. Like, it had a lot of stuff. Again, Supergirl, a character who had a 5 or 6 season, I don't want to say 5-season show. One of those Batman was Michael Keaton, one of the most famous ones. The other one was Ben Affleck, who, yes, part of the very polarizing universe, but the longest string of Batman we've had, like the most number of appearances of Batman we've had, right, is Ben Affleck. Like, he has that record, if I'm not mistaken, not counting Adam West in the TV show, just to be clear, but for live action movies. So it's like there was a lot going for that movie that just on that information alone should have brought people in. So you know what? I can't say it's flop proof. But yeah, I would, if it happens like The Flash, it's going to be fascinating to watch and fascinating to determine what all the reasons are for why.
Yeah. All right, we still got a few more questions. What we
Yeah, a
got?
couple more here. Travis Snell.
Oh, we
Well,
forgot Jim. Oh no, we did just do. We
we
did
did
Jim.
not
Yep, we
forget
did.
Jim. We
Yep,
would
we
not
did.
forget
I
Jim.
was about to say. Well, I'm looking at the notes. Wait a minute. Did we do that? Yes, we did.
Travis Snell, with Iger saying a cutback of movies and budgets. Two questions. One, what do you think should be the new norm for overall MCU projects in a year? Two, how confident are you that the Armor Wars film is still going to happen?
All right, I will go with 2 movies and between 1 to 2 DC. Excuse me, not DC. Disney Plus MCU.
There's a slip.
Yeah,
Uh,
that it happens
so basically, you're talking 4 projects a year.
at most. At most.
Interesting. What about Armor Wars?
Armor Wars. I think Armor Wars is still a go.
Taking the second question first, Armor Wars, I have no less doubt than I would have before. I have no more doubt, I guess, than I should say than I would have before. I completely believe that movie is coming out. Do I believe they're considering whether or not they really want to have Rhodey have been Scrody for the events of Infinity War and Endgame, etc.? Yes, I think that is still under consideration, but the movie is going to come out. As for the first part, I would put a max of 6, but probably 5 being more, and that'd be 3 movies and 3 TV projects.
Wow.
But well, if you think about
basically what we have now.
It's kind of what we're having this year, but it's not what we've had the last several years.
Okay.
And the movie wise, they've been at 3 projects for a long time. Since 2017, I think it was 3 movies a year. So like that part has become pretty standard. I think that part, and I think that should continue. But I really would prefer 5 projects total. So maybe 2 live action projects and a 6th project if they're going to do one could be your What If, your X-Men 97, things that you're frankly just not expecting to bring in the big numbers.
Yeah, all the games agreeing with me and saying that
because that's a lot.
That's a lot.
And I people feel like that's a lot, and I think sure it's a lot compared to the early MCU. I don't think it's a lot compared to the last few years, though. Again, when we had 9 projects in 2021 and 9 projects in 2022, I don't think that's a lot. And regarding quality control, you got to which all in the game just brought up, you got to remember a lot of this stuff was put into production when they were under Chapek, who was forcing it all forward, constantly pumping it out.
COVID and all that stuff. I understand that, but if they're the point of being in the sense of we're trying to, like you said, quality control, but also the budgets itself at that point. Five projects is budget wise. That's also questionable.
It is, but you need to. I guess let me add on to this. No more $200 million Disney Plus TV shows. And frankly, the movies should not be $200 million. With a few except event movies, absolutely get up to there. But most movies should target that 1 to 150 range. I think. I really believe that all of that needs to come down. But even if you look at this calendar year, Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy, and the Marvels, Quantumania didn't hit for a lot of people. But if people liked it even as much as they did Ant-Man and the Wasp, you wouldn't hear people complaining there were too many movies. If the Secret Invasion finale episode had hit even as good as episode 5, you wouldn't hear those complaints. It's just those 2 projects happen to come within a short time span of each other.
Fair.
But then everyone's forgetting, oh, we just had Guardians of the Galaxy, which everyone loved. And I'm seeing nothing but praise for the trailers for the Marvels at this point. Obviously, the project's not out. Loki just had the most number of views for any Disney Plus trailer ever. So the interest is still in those characters. They just have to actually deliver it. It's easy to say, oh, just put out good stuff. Sure. People are going to get mad that there's too much if they don't like it. But if they're liking it, they're going to say, give me more. Right? Yeah. So that's why I think 6 should probably be the ceiling. I wouldn't go above 6. And yes, I would count I Am Groot as one of those 6. So like, even if that comes out, that's a slot you're using up. So like, if it's got the Marvel Studios name on it, scale it back.
Gotcha. All
right. Last question from you. So random. What MCU film would you like to forget about so you can experience it again for the first time?
I want to let you go first.
So the first 2 movies that came to mind feel like the most obvious ones. Either Avengers Endgame, which has absolutely been my favorite experience to date, or the first Avengers movie.
Okay.
The one where it's like it proved that they can do it. They can bring all the toys together. But they both seem so obvious to me. So I'm not going to go with either of those. To properly do this, I feel like we have to cut out all the knowledge we have from after that movie. So I'm going to go back to 2014 and say Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1.
Okay.
Go back and relive that experience. The movie that I felt like I'm going to enjoy because I like those iterations of the characters are drawing from in the comics, but I felt like that might be the first time that they had a real miss on their hands. Obviously, they didn't. It was a hugely popular movie, and it was such a fun experience to go to that one. So I'm going with Guardians Volume 1.
Yeah. Those are, I mean, even your obvious choices, like you said, Endgame's an obvious choice. It would definitely be in my consideration at that point. Even I'm even thinking about the shows at that point, but I would have to say when it comes down to it, there are two, and one would be Captain America: The Winter Soldier, not just because it's my number one.
2014, big year for us.
Yeah. Number one favorite MCU project of all time, but because of how I still get just every time I watch it, there's just that thing. It's like, man, they made a spy thriller truly in the MCU and took what was one of the most storied runs in Captain America's storied comic book history and did it justice and actually did a real good job with justice. But I would have to say slightly above that, even though it's not in my number one choice, is Spider-Man No Way Home.
Very recent, but I dig it.
Very, very recent, but hiding, even though we were hearing the rumors and things like that, and Brent and I went on our Twitter hiatus just because we were so fearful of getting anything spoiled of that nature. The moments of seeing Matt Murdock on screen again, getting to see Toby and Andrew in the same scenes as Tom Holland, and just the little winks and nods and conversations, like seeing that movie twice in theaters within a week was just like, this is, people say Top Gun brought people back to it. It's like, this is why I go see the movies. Like this feeling is so unique to what it is. So,
can I give an honorable mention?
Of course, it's our show. We can do what we want.
That's right. And there's an asterisk next to this because it's not MCU proper, but it absolutely canonized as MCU adjacent at this point. And I'm going to say the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. And no, it's not my favorite Spider-Man movie. I actually think there's several that are better than it. But as big as both Blade and even X-Men were, when Spider-Man hit the way it did, that brought comic book movies just to another level. So I want to say reliving that one, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. My laughing, I just put in the chat, was more to All in the Games question, as the comment saying, I thought you were going to say leave it as forget about. I was going to say Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder, there you go.
Fair enough. World's Biggest Geek saying, I hope in the Groot that Jeffrey Wright comes back. He is. He's coming back.
As for he's also asking if we're going to get any special appearances outside of the Guardians. No, I don't. I think it'll just be the Guardians. Yep. And it wouldn't surprise me if it was just Rocket.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So those are all our questions. So I want to thank everyone, including myself, for submitting them at that point. Hey, the truth is, it came to me, and at that point, I needed to write it down, so I just put it in the question so I wouldn't forget.
No, that works. That works.
All right, we're going to take our final ad break before we get into Factor Fictions and Comic Book Club. So, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on. It can be a bit loud. Give it a 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. All right, so let me pull up Factor Fictions for me this week on top of... Oh, I wrote down that time wrong. I got to make sure to write that time down right. Give me a second. My bad on that. All right. So let me pull those up. So these were from you last week. All right.
Yeah, the
All
ones from
right.
last week. I didn't vote in any of those, but I was really
You didn't
curious as to what they
vote
were.
in your own stuff?
No, I don't. I don't always vote in them because I feel like that I want to know like what people actually
I know.
say
I
about
know.
them. And but there, I really was curious about this one, so I
Yeah.
thought about it, but no, I did not break. I didn't do it.
All right, number one, knowing what we know now and what is currently going on with the strikes, what and what other movies are expected to release, the Marvels will be delayed. 38% said fact, 62% said fiction. Number two, Fury mentioned a peace summit between the Kree and the Skrulls at the end of Secret Invasion. It will be referenced in the Marvels. 80% said fact, 20% said fiction. And three, Loki Season 2 will feature a reference to one of the other MCU multiversal projects, No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, What If, etc. 80% said, 81% said fact, 19% said fiction. All right, so this week, here are mine. We'll start off with some fun because it's been a while since we said it. Mephisto, our lovely, a little scamp Mephisto. Mephisto will be confirmed before Agatha, Coven of Chaos.
Confirmed as part of that show,
No,
or just confirmed?
it'll be confirmed. We will have Mephisto confirmed, not as being in Coven of Chaos, but we will already have confirmed Mephisto before Coven of Chaos comes out.
All right, one more clarifying question.
Yes.
Confirmed through marketing and PR, or confirmed
He'll
on
be
screen?
on screen.
Oh, jeez.
I'll clarify when I put it on Twitter. I'll make sure that's out there so people don't.
What project do you think it's going to be in? I guess you have. I don't know that you do. You haven't answered that question. Oh man, that's hard. I'm gonna say fiction, but I feel like you're gonna convince me to go the other way.
I'm going fact. And the project I'm thinking it's going to be is Ironheart because of the introduction of the Hood.
All right, yeah, you convinced me. That's where it is.
That's where I'm thinking it's going to be.
I will go with that. You've convinced me, so I will. I'll go fact on it. I knew there was something I wasn't thinking of.
Yeah. All right. Number two, it will be revealed that we're not just by the end of Loki, if not another project at that point. It's not just one sacred timeline anymore. There'll be sacred timelines. We'll have all these timelines, but there'll be others that will be deemed sacred.
Implying there are still some that are not sacred.
Correct.
I like the idea, so I'm going to say fact.
And if you think about it like this, like when we talked about the breakdown of the trailer, we do have the quote-unquote Council of Kangs now in the background running this, and I would like to think that the council has their own kind of selected timelines that are
like the ones that the big three were from are all sacred, but all the random, effectively nameless kings that were in the stadium, those are all not sacred.
Possibly, yeah, possibly.
All right. I like the idea.
Yep. So yeah, I'm definitely a fact on that one. And then this one, I promised you clones.
You did.
I did. I promised you clones.
I like clones. Let's hear it.
Yep. All right. So with Mr. Sinister confirmed to be returning in X-Men 97.
Oh God, Madeline Pryor.
Yes. He will. We will see him create the clone of Jean Grey, and Madeline Pryor will be introduced.
You know what? Fact. Roll with it. Even Madeline Pryor.
I just love it. He already knew where I was going with it. Oh God,
Yes.
Madeline Pryor.
Yeah, she's ridiculous, but this is where I tell everybody. I once read a series called Clones from Image, or called Clone from Image, just based on the title alone. I knew nothing else about it, and I read the first couple issues, and I really dug it. Highly recommend. But Madeline Pryor, oh my, yes, there's a little
just to see like the X-Men 97, how far they're gonna go with that costume.
I mean, as long as they avoid dark web, we're all good.
That's fine. They can avoid dark web. I'm just talking about the costume.
Yeah, I want to see it. I like clones. I'm a sucker for clones.
You are. You're an easy mark.
I am. Absolutely.
Yep. So, all right. I will post those on Sunday afternoon for you all to vote on and laugh at and give me your theories at that point. So, all right. And so we will, as always, conclude with Comic Book Club looking at Books of Doom issue 4. So we left Doom, and he has, abandoned his love of his life, Valeria, and searching for the more ultimate power at that point, going through, I believe he's walking through the Himalayas.
Yep. Going kind of actually reminded me of parts of the Doctor Strange movie in this case, where
Yeah.
he's like looking for this secret society or secret organization, secret
Hmm.
religion, secret sect, whatever you call it. It definitely gave me vibes of that as he's going around. But I appreciated the fact that like it wouldn't come easy for him for all his posturing about how smart he is and how ordained he is and all this stuff. He really did struggle, and it really was close. Now he obviously survived. He was able to get there, but he almost didn't make it, and I actually like that.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting us to see a Yeti and going toe to toe with a Yeti.
I
That
was
was
I was starting to wonder, like, wait, is this like a Wendigo type thing? Like, where's the timeline on this? Like, when did Wendigo first come around? I don't know, but that's what I thought of when, yeah, that was totally
I
unexpected.
mean, not only like he does get hurt and he does put down one of those bombs in his throat to blow him up
Which
at that
was
point.
awesome.
It was cool. And not only that, like you see him later, like not only did he kill him, he decided, you know what, I'm gonna skin you and I'm gonna skin your body and carry it around as a cape at that point. It's like, you know what, why not?
Yeah,
Add
help
insult
keep
to
him
injury.
warm. That gave him. It was a source of food, a source of warmth. I mean, he's using what he had on hand.
Yep, and he eventually does make it to this kind of this monk shrine at that point. He doesn't make it. They find him and he sleeps for a good long time, and once he wakes up, he starts learning these powers of the spiritual realm at that point and becomes kind of the master of that. And they end up looking to him as a master of everything, and he wants to kind of return and head back down there to see exactly what the world. I think he said he was gone for 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years is what they said, and I'll be honest, I did find myself wondering, how does this, I guess, monastery have power where they're at? Like, how do they possibly get power up there for some of
Magic.
the technology side? Magic's what I eventually told myself it had to be. I was like, if it's not magic, I don't have any answers, but I'm gonna roll with it because it's such a cool concept.
Yeah, and so when he gets down and creates this kind of compound with all the screens and everything like that, he's watching all this, and then his nemesis is on screen, Reed Richards at that point, and then he creates this head. Oh, he's the one that caused this all to happen to me.
Pretty much. I mean, always gotta blame Richards.
Yep, and then he had the interview with the former servant for Von Doom, saying from here on out he would only make us refer to him as Doctor Doom. Being haunted by
He
images of
doesn't have
Lara.
a degree.
And yeah, you just call yourself doctor, you'd be fine.
Yeah, that's right.
Um, and we get to see him the forming of his armor and putting on the helmet, and he's calling. I love the kind of, I call it the even though it's not Kirby Crackle, it's very much in the essence of Kirby Crackle when he says, "I'll only be known as Doctor Doom."
Yeah, and
And then he takes off in a magical Segway that flies.
sure, the magical Segway that he invented himself is a little goofy looking, but
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
it fit the time from when like you back to
yeah.
the Kirby era, right? Like it fit the time for what we saw, so I'll like it. And again, I'm going to repeat what I said last week. This right here is your storyboards for a really freaking awesome Doctor Doom series.
Oh, very much so at that point. When I saw that, I was like, you're right, it does fit the time, but I did chuckle. It's like, oh, that's cute. He built a little mechanism to make himself fly. That's cute. Good for you, Doctor Doom. A plus. Go to America and go to Latveria and take over the world.
Pretty much.
So, all right, so we got 2 issues left at that point, and yeah, again, the series is every single issue. It brings us something new to talk about, and definitely exceeds my expectations.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad it's only 2 issues left. I'm really enjoying this one.
Yeah. But all right, well, volume 176 in the books, and but yeah, so we will see if we get another trailer next week, or has this been the last of Trailer Palooza? We've had 3 weeks of good eating.
Echo's coming. Echo's coming. That
Why
trailer's
not?
coming.
Why not?
Ooh, I just thought of a fact or fiction for that. So okay,
Oh, there
I'm
we
gonna
are.
Save that though until I know that there's no trailer next week. Because if there is, it'll render my fact or fiction moot.
There we go. Got to get it out there for next week. So,
I do.
all right, Brent, tell people how they can follow you.
Yeah, Brentak Prime on whatever social media you're looking at. If you're on it, and if you want to know I'm there, look up Brentak Prime, and that'll tell you if I am.
Yep, and I want to thank our sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. Use that code MarvelGUA at checkout to get $2 off every single order. You can follow me on X, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, Chris.Balga, pretty much on everywhere at that point. Not on Mastodon, not just, no, just don't have any interest right now. Nothing's drawn me to it.
I posted on it today for the first time in forever.
See, there, case proven. You can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUAPod Network. Feel free to tweet, email, DMs are open, provide feedback, ask questions, give us fact or fictions. Continue to rate and review the Marvel Alliance solo feed, GUA Network feed, and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us live in the chat. Thank you all for listening. Stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. All right, Brent. Post-credits discussion night. We're going to give a big kind of possible spoiler warning. This is a rumor we'll be discussing for Deadpool 3. But if you don't want to hear any of the rumors of a rumored possible character maybe appearing, this was kind of making the rounds this week. But if you don't want to see it, stop now. We'll see you next week at that point. So we'll give you that warning for everyone else in 3, 2, 1. So we're going to give our thoughts on the rumor that was going around for the rumor for the possible main villain or one of the main villains that has been circling around. We do have heard enough confidence that Emma Corrin was cast in Deadpool 3, and the rumor that's going around right now is they will be playing a modified version of Professor X's quote-unquote evil twin sister, Cassandra Nova.
I like it. Like, Cassandra Nova is what's the story? Charles killed her in the womb or whatever, something like that, or thought he killed her in the womb.
Well, it gets even more weird than that. Like, she had began life in the same time, like he was conceived without a body. So she improvised one by copying DNA and making herself, quote unquote, his sister while Charles was in the room. And yes, Charles recognized in his fetal state, she was evil and kind of used his what latent powers have to kill her. And so his mother miscarried her, and somehow out of the miscarriage in the sewer was able to form. Cassandra's a mummodral, a parasitic form born bodiless on the astral plane. So was able to form herself into a living person at that point.
You know what? It's bonkers. It's bonkers.
It's crazy.
I'm here for it. Like that. If nothing else, I want to see Deadpool's reaction to that. Yes, please do that and just explain that to Deadpool. You know, I would love to see the reaction there.
Yeah, Emma Corrin has portrayed Princess Diana, Princess of Wales, in the 4th season of the Netflix historical drama The Crown, which I'm a huge fan of that show. They won a Golden Globe and were nominated for a Primetime Emmy, and they have also starred in the 2022 romantic drama films My Policeman and Lady Chatelet's Lover. Excuse me. Yeah, the Cassandra Nova, I mean, like you said, it's Deadpool 3. It's bonkers at that point. If this is an 838 Cassandra Nova, you know, now that her quote-unquote twin brother
Are people talking about that?
838? That, I would think, 838.
I mean, there were rumors that the 838 world, characters from the 838 world, which, just to remind everyone, is the world the Illuminati came from that, got demolished in Multiverse of Madness, would have something to do with this project, like would somehow be a part of this. So are people saying Cassandra Nova is also from 838? Like, okay, I haven't heard that.
No, I'm just kind of putting it out there in the sense of if we're saying it's going to be a modified version calling up Professor X in some sort of shape or form, could be.
Sounds fun. Yeah, sign me up. I like it. And, you know, I agree with those saying that Marvel does need to invest in a little bit more in some of the other universes. 838, yes, let's see what happened to them after Wanda tore through the Illuminati. Absolutely.
Hey, you know what? If Professor X is dead, Cassandra Nova is saying, "Hey, guess what? I don't have my pseudo brother to kick around anymore, so it's my time."
You know, absolutely, and she's got the look to fill in for him. So
And she's been brought back in the Krakoa era, so yeah.
Yeah, I think it sounds fun. What a deep cut character.
I know. But all right, well, we will see what comes up to next week, and we will talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.
See you later.